First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers for this wonderful opportunity. My name is Rabea, and I'm a medical doctor, currently doing my specialization in neurology at the Klinikum Dachau. So today I want to tell you guys a little bit about how you can get smarter. So my motivation for doing this talk was the fact that I'm very passionate about a term called neuroplasticity. When we look back in time, even 60 years ago, there was the common belief in the scientific society was that the human brain is a fixed structure which was not capable of further development. So all that changed in the 1960s and 70s when a series of seminal discoveries were made, which gave us insight into the ways that the human brain is capable of changing throughout the entire life, and not only change, but change in response to pretty much everything we do. So I would just like to use the couple of remaining minutes to give you guys a few, actually 3 practical tips on how you can use neuronal plasticity to get smarter. My first tip would be to learn new skills. In recent years, there have been so many research done in this topic which show that learning new skills, learning a new language, or learning to play a musical instrument, or learning to juggle, or learning any kind of motoric skill changes regions of the brain permanently. So my first tip, teach yourself new things all the time. Practice new skills, and push yourself to do things, do new things. My second tip is it's about nutrition. So as we know that the brain is like just a 1.4 kilogram mass which is sitting inside of our skull, but it also happens to take up almost 20% of the entire energy intake of our body. So nutrition is a very key factor in the development of the brain. Like the saying goes, that we are what we eat. So a healthy diet, very important in getting smart. So my third point is the practice of meditation and mindfulness and techniques for quieting the mind. There have been also numerous research done on this topic over the last 2 decades, and all of which indicate that practices such as mindfulness and meditation can have long-term structural and functional changes in the brain, especially in regions of the brain which are very much associated with emotions and fear and flight responses. So practicing meditation can have long-term changes in your brain, which sort of also improve your learning ability. So with that, I'm also sort of at the end of my talk, because I tried to keep it short. If there are any questions, I'm very open to them.
I have a question. Amazing topic. I'm totally gonna talk to you in the break. I was wondering because I tried meditation, and it's just not for me. I really have bad feelings towards it. I don't know, it's boring. But I love to dance. And I feel so relaxed after dancing. So I'm dancing is more my meditation than just sitting still and being clear, being I don't know. Is that okay? Are there
I think it's totally fine if that works for you. No, I think the basic idea, because I'm no meditation expert, but the basic idea is to work in strategies that sort of synchronize your brain activity and gets your brain to an alpha state, which sort of takes you away from flight and fight mode and get you to that calm state in which you can develop learning and other basic brain skills. Yeah. Questions?
In the start of your in the start of your speech, you mentioned to be smarter.
Yeah.
And then I would really like to hear your definition of smarter, or maybe being smart in terms of the plasticity, because you felt like there's some neurons or changing of the brain is related to being smarter. But can you explain us the relationship?
So, like smartness, if I want to define smartness, there are so many different IQ tests and stuff like that. But I think my personal take on the matter is that smartness depends on how you define it for yourself. For example, somebody who is very much interested in sports, for him being able to do his sports really well, improving his motoric skills and his coordination skills would be smartness for him. So for that person, engaging in exercise which strengthen those areas of the brain which associated with these kind of skills would improve in terms of neuronal plasticity. Those regions of the brain will get stronger. The gray matter of those regions of the brain will become more dense. So that's how that works, I think. Yes.
You mentioned nutrition as being important for the health of the brain. Any type of nutrients in particular that are more helpful?
Well, there have been so many research done on this topic recently. Like the general take is that low sugar and more like omega-3 based fats and that kind of nutrition is very brain friendly. But there are so many different kinds of supplements, brain supplements, for example, I can say like even turmeric and holy basil, or there are so many different kinds of new things which are supposed to improve the brain, also in terms of neuronal plasticity. And there have been actually many research that show that these things, like for example, the yellow pigment found in turmeric, the curcuminoid, it's actually significantly reduces dementia rate. So, yeah.
A very follow-up question on the nutrition. Do you know how it is with the influence of animal products on the brain, or whether that has a healthy brain influence?
I'm not sure specifically. Like, you mean meat, or?
Yeah, any animal products, meat, eggs, you don't get anything.
I'm sorry, I don't think I can answer that specifically. Yeah.
I have a question about the first tip about just learning new skills to become smarter.
Yeah.
So to what extent is that transferable? So do you only get then smarter in that skill that you learn, or can you learn one skill and then that translates into having a higher performance in other areas of your life, basically?
It's a very, very interesting question, because it sort of questions the way neuronal plasticity actually works in the brain. When you use motor skills, the regions of the brain which are in the motor cortex, they sort of develop, and there you get more synaptic and neuronal new pathways are developed. But there is also evidence that it changes the entire structure of your brain. So I can imagine that getting better in one skill has an overall good effect for your entire brain.
Yeah, there's another question.
Yep.
Yeah.
You mentioned about learning languages. I remember hearing statistics way back that would say that after maybe 8 years old, your brain is set and you can't learn new languages anymore.
Yeah.
I always thought that was a depressing statistic.
That is.
Does this plasticity argument change that?
It does, it totally does. It sort of, like I said in the beginning, that in the 60s and 70s, there have been like this series of really phenomenal discoveries which totally changed the way we think about the human brain. And up until then, it was really common belief that the human brain does not change at all after a certain age. If it does change, it degenerates, but that is not true.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask, is it always good for the brain not to be in these models? Or is it sometimes necessary for, I don't know, get stronger and more capable of moving around?
Well, looking from the point of view of evolution, fight and flight response is something which is very, very useful. Like, we needed that back in the days to survive. But in our today's current society, fight and flight response is, in that sense, not really relevant anymore, and it also sort of, neurobiologically speaking, it sort of is not good for the healing, for example, healing and development of new synaptic connections, and for overall growth and development of the brain. The fight and flight mode is not good.
Okay, I think we are out of time, so we can.